Do you know someone who has been wrestling with the same bad habits for years, always swearing this time will be different, and then falling straight back into the old pattern? Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's smoking, maybe it's late-night junk food, endless scrolling, or that constant procrastination that quietly ruins every plan. They try a strict diet, throw themselves into a new workout routine, delete all the apps, promise to start fresh on Monday, and a few days later, they're right back where they started, sometimes even worse. You've probably seen it before, you might even be living it. A person announces they're finally going to lose weight. They empty the cupboards, swear off sugar, start an aggressive gym plan, run every morning, track every calorie. For a week, maybe two, they're on fire. Then real life shows up. Stress, work, kids, bills, fatigue. And the whole thing collapses. They feel ashamed, defeated, and they return to the very habits they were trying to escape. If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me, because what if I told you there's a method, a system, that brings together several Japanese philosophies I often talk about here on the channel, and that this method can be used to break almost any bad habit, whether it's obesity, alcohol, doom scrolling, or the quiet poison of procrastination. And the strange part, it's not dramatic, it's not flashy, it's so simple that at first it feels like it can't possibly work. This system we're going to explore today weaves together ideas like IKIGAI, Kaizen, HARA HACHI BU, WABI-SABI, and Gambaru. Each of these on its own is powerful, but combined they form a kind of Japanese operating system for change. And I need to warn you, this goes against what a lot of productivity coaches and motivational gurus tell you. It doesn't worship hustle. It doesn't promise a 21-day transformation. It will ask you to do something so small that your ego will tell you it's pointless. So small that you'll think, this can't work, until it does. Before I break down exactly how this system works, I want to invite you to subscribe, like this video, and comment which habit you most want to change in your life right now. The idea for this video comes from everyday struggles, from people who asked for help with obesity and feeling trapped in their own body. So I'm going to use weight as the main example today, but what I'm about to share can be applied to any area of your life. Today I want to tell you the story of a man named Daniel. Daniel was 42 years old, just over 140 kilos, and quietly burning out from the inside. On paper, he was a decent guy. He worked as a logistics coordinator at a distribution center, leaving home before sunrise and getting back when it was already dark. 2 kids, a partner, a mortgage, a constant pressure in the chest that he called stress and tried not to think about. Food wasn't a pleasure anymore. It was whatever he could grab between tasks, a pastry and an energy drink in the car, a quick microwave meal eaten in front of a computer, late-night snacks in front of the TV because he was too drained to sit at the table and talk. Weekends, fast food, takeaways, and a sofa that had learned the exact shape of his body. His body had been whispering warnings for years. Climbing stairs felt like a workout. Tying his shoes meant holding his breath and planning the movement. When his kids asked him to play football outside, there was always a reason to say no. When his partner suggested an evening walk, he answered, maybe tomorrow. But what hurt the most wasn't the number on the scale. It was the way his 10-year-old son had slowly stopped asking, "Dad, will you play with me?" One afternoon, something happened that Daniel would never forget. It was a Saturday. They were at a shopping center because his daughter needed new shoes. The kids ran up the escalator. Daniel took the stairs, pretending he preferred them for exercise. Halfway up, his legs simply refused. His vision blurred, his chest tightened, and he had to grab the handrail and sit down right there on the steps. People stared. Someone asked if he was okay. His son stood above him, holding the bag with new shoes, eyes wide, not knowing what to do. Daniel didn't pass out, but something inside him broke. Not his heart, his illusion. That night, he sat on the edge of his bed and cried. He cried because he was too young to feel this old. He cried because his children had seen their father collapse on a staircase. He cried because deep down, he knew this wasn't just a phase. This was the result of thousands of tiny decisions over many years. His partner sat beside him, put a hand on his shoulder, and after a long silence said quietly, "You need help. Real help. Not another Monday morning promise."
The next day, Daniel messaged the only person he knew who had truly changed. A friend from school, Hero, who had once been overweight, depressed, and constantly exhausted, and who now seemed like a completely different person, lighter, calmer, more present.
"Man, what did you do? Surgery? Miracle pills? Some crazy diet?" Daniel asked. Hero laughed. "No surgery, no miracle. I did talk to a Japanese doctor though, but what he gave me wasn't medication, it was a philosophy."
"Philosophy doesn't burn fat, bro," Daniel replied.
"You're wrong," Hero said. "When philosophy changes who you are, your habits follow." 2 weeks later, Daniel was sitting in front of his laptop, the glow of the screen lighting up a small home office. On the other side of the video call was Dr. Kenji Sato, a calm man in his late 60s, with clear eyes and a relaxed posture. No white coat, no stethoscope. Just a simple room with wooden shelves, a plant, and soft light coming from a window. "Daniel," the doctor said, "tell me why you're here." So Daniel told him everything: the weight, the staircase incident, the tiredness, the frustration, the fear of dying young, the shame of being the dad who watches instead of playing. When he finished, he braced himself for the usual speech about carbs, cardio, blood tests, and discipline. But Dr. Sato didn't pull up charts or print out a strict meal plan. He didn't lecture him. He simply asked, "How many times have you tried to change?" "I don't know," Daniel said. 3 big attempts, maybe 4. Each one lasted a few weeks. "Why do you think they all faded?" the doctor asked. Daniel gave the usual list: no time, genetics, stress, metabolism, children, work. The doctor listened, then shook his head gently. "Those are reasons your mind uses to protect your current identity," he said. "But they are not the real cause. The truth is this: you have been fighting a 20-year war with 2-week campaigns. Your body and your brain were trained for decades to live one way, and you try to overwrite all of that in one shot. Of course you lose." Silence.
Then the doctor said something that annoyed Daniel at first.
"I'm going to ask you to make just one change. It will be so small that part of you will want to laugh at it. Do you accept?" "At this point," Daniel sighed, "I'll accept anything." "Good," said Dr. Sato. "From tomorrow morning, before you look at your phone, before coffee, before anything, you will drink 1 glass of water, that's all, for 2 weeks." Daniel waited for the rest. It didn't come.
"That's it? I'm 140 kilos and your solution is water?" he said.
"You're correct," the doctor replied. 1 glass of water will not make you thin. It will do something much more important. It will be the first promise you actually keep to yourself, and that is where real change begins. Daniel closed the laptop, frustrated. He had paid good money for a video call that could have been a YouTube ad for bottled water, but one sentence kept circling in his mind: a promise you keep to yourself. How many times had he sworn, "This is the last time"? How many mornings had started with, "From today on, everything changes"? And by Wednesday, nothing had changed. If he couldn't trust his own word, how could he change anything? That night, he filled a glass and left it on his bedside table. The next morning, when the alarm rang, he saw the glass, rolled his eyes, and drank it. Day 2, same thing. Day 3, again. On day 6, something subtle shifted. He woke up, and his first thought was, "I need my water." His brain had started to expect it.
On day 14, he sat in front of the laptop again. Dr. Sato smiled.
"Did you drink your water every day?" the doctor asked. Yes, Daniel said. I feel a bit ridiculous. I haven't lost weight. But I did it every single day.
The doctor nodded.
Then you've just experienced your first piece of Japanese philosophy. It's called Kaizen, continuous improvement through tiny steps. You didn't try to leap up the mountain. You simply took one small step consistently. The glass isn't the point, the proof is. Now, said Dr. Sato, keep the water. We're going to add one more thing. Daniel braced himself. At each main meal, the doctor continued, put slightly less food on your plate than you normally would. Not half, just enough that you notice. Then eat slowly. When you finish, wait 20 minutes before you decide whether you actually need more. That's it? Daniel asked. No counting calories, no forbidden list? For now, that's it. You can still eat pizza and burgers, but give your body a chance to speak before you overload it. We'll talk again in 3 weeks. The first days were uncomfortable. Daniel would finish his plate and stare at the pan on the stove, wanting more. His brain screamed, "You're not full, eat." The old habit of stuffing himself for comfort was still there. But the 20-minute rule changed everything. Most of the time, by the end of those 20 minutes, the hunger had dissolved. His body hadn't needed more food, his habit had. What Dr. Sato was teaching him, without naming it yet, was HARA HACHI BU, the Okinawan principle of eating until you're about 80% full enough to be satisfied, not stuffed. 3 weeks later, Daniel stepped on the scale. He was down almost 3 kilos. It's not about the number, the doctor said on their next call. It's about the direction. For the first time in years, your body has started moving the way you want it to, and you didn't torture yourself to get there.
I feel different, Daniel admitted. Not dramatically lighter, but less out of control. Exactly, the doctor replied. Control doesn't come from huge effort. It comes from consistent, manageable wins. Are you ready for another step? Daniel nodded. After your morning water, before work, I want you to walk to the end of your street and back, every day. No gym, no stopwatch, just that.
Doctor, that's like 200 meters. That's not exercise. It's not about exercise, Dr. Sato said. It's about reminding your body that it's designed to move and teaching your brain that you follow through on what you say. Distance can grow later. Right now, we build identity. So Daniel started walking. Water, smaller portions. Short walk. On the 4th day, his daughter noticed. Where are you going, Dad? Just to the end of the street. Can I come? So they walked together, hand in hand, past sleepy houses and parked cars. She told him about school drama, her favorite game, the friend who annoyed her at recess, small things. But for her, they were huge. She had never had this quiet, daily moment with him before because he had always been too tired. At the end of the month, he wasn't just walking to the corner anymore. Not because the doctor told him to, but because his daughter secretly tried to extend the route. The numbers on the scale were changing slowly, but something more important was changing in his eyes. There was a spark that hadn't been there for a long time. During one call, Dr. Sato asked, "Daniel, tell me honestly, why are you doing all this?"
To lose weight, Daniel replied automatically. That's the surface. I'm asking for the real reason. Daniel took a long breath.
I want to see my kids grow up. I don't want them to remember me as the dad who was always on the sofa. I want to grow old with my partner. I want to feel proud of myself again. The doctor nodded. That is your IKIGAI, he said. Your reason for getting up in the morning. Losing weight is not your purpose. It's just the obstacle between you and what truly matters. From that day on, when the alarm rang and he didn't want to move, Daniel didn't think about kilograms. He thought about his daughter's wedding someday. When he was tempted to overfill his plate, he didn't think about calories. He thought about being able to chase his son in the park. Motivation fades. Purpose doesn't. 3 months passed. Daniel had lost over 10 kilos. People at work started to notice. New diet? What's your secret? He just laughed and said, small changes.
Then came a test, a big family celebration.
You know how it goes, food everywhere, cake, roast, desserts, drinks, plates loaded like it's the last meal on earth. Relatives insisting, come on, live a little, it's a party. Daniel tried to stick to his just a little less rule, but eventually the pressure, the smells, the nostalgia, the comments, all of it combined into a familiar wave, and he surfed it straight into overeating, and he went home with that heavy, overfull feeling and a knot of guilt in his chest. The next morning, the old script appeared in his mind. You see? Same story as always. You ruined it. Might as well give up. He didn't want the water. He didn't want the walk. He wanted to crawl back into his old identity where nothing was expected of him. Then he remembered something Dr. Sato had said casually in an earlier call. You're going to mess up. The question is not if, the question is what you do the next day. So Daniel sighed, picked up the glass and drank. Then he put on his shoes and walked to the end of the street, feeling like a fraud, but walking anyway. Later that week, he told the doctor what happened. I blew it, he said. I ate like there was no tomorrow. I feel like I ruined everything. And did you still drink your water the next morning? The doctor asked. Yes. And did you walk? Yes. Then you didn't ruin everything, Dr. Sato replied. You didn't quit. You stumbled. There is a huge difference. A person who never stumbles is either dead or lying. A person who falls and then stands up again is changing. Then the doctor introduced him to another Japanese idea. In Japan, we have WABI-SABI, he said. It is the appreciation of things that are imperfect, incomplete, and impermanent. Your journey will never be spotless. It is not supposed to be. One messy day doesn't erase 3 months of effort, just like one sunny day doesn't erase winter. It was the first time in his life that Daniel allowed himself to be imperfect and still worthy of continuing, because for years his pattern had been all or nothing. Perfect or pointless. One mistake and everything was ruined. Now he was learning something different. Consistency allows imperfection. Perfection kills consistency. In the following months, life didn't magically become easy. There were stressful weeks at work, sleepless nights with sick kids, moments when old habits called his name loudly. And yes, there were more weekends with too much food, more evenings with too many snacks, but every time Daniel came back to his tiny non-negotiables. Water in the morning, a little less food, a short walk. Sometimes that's all he could manage, but he did it. This, Dr. Sato explained, is Ganbaru, the Japanese concept of enduring, holding on, doing your best even when circumstances are not ideal. It's not about heroics. It's about staying in the game when your mind screams to leave. By month 6, Daniel had lost more than 20 kilos. His blood pressure readings improved, his knees hurt less. But the most important moment wasn't on a scale or a chart. It was one afternoon when his son dropped a toy under the couch. Without thinking, Daniel knelt down, grabbed it, and stood up in one smooth movement. No groaning, no planning the movement, no fear of getting stuck. It was when his partner said, "Hey, want to walk after dinner?" And he said, "Sure," without thinking of excuses. Change had moved from something he was trying to do to something he was starting to be. Around month 9, during one of their calls, Dr. Sato asked, "When was the last time you seriously thought, I might as well give up?" Daniel paused. He couldn't remember. "I don't know," he said. "It's been a while."
That's because you stopped acting like someone who is on a diet and started living as someone who takes care of himself, the doctor said. You're not fighting yourself as much anymore. You are someone who drinks water in the morning, someone who eats a little less, someone who moves every day. That's your identity.
He drew 5 small circles connected on a notepad and showed them to Daniel through the camera. "Everything we've been doing," he said, "can be summarized like this. Ikigai, your why, being there for your family, living with dignity. Kaizen, your how, small, daily improvements instead of big, desperate efforts. HARA HACHI BU, your limit, stop at enough, not at pain. WABI-SABI, your compassion, accepting imperfection and continuing anyway. Gambaru, your strength, staying committed when it's not easy or glamorous. This is not a weight loss hack. This is a life system." By the end of the first year, Daniel's blood tests looked completely different. His doctor at the clinic was confused. "What program are you on?" she asked. "New medication?" "No," he said. "Just water, smaller plates, short walks, and a Japanese old man on video calls."
She laughed. She didn't understand the depth of what he meant, but he did.
It wasn't the water. It wasn't the walk. It was the identity he had built around those tiny actions. 2 years after that staircase incident, Daniel was around 90 kilos, not a fitness model, not a superhero, a real human with a real life, but healthy, strong, and present. There are 2 photos in his living room now. In the first, he's sitting heavily in a chair, watching his kids play from a distance. The smile on his face looks tired. You can almost feel the distance between him and his own life. In the second, he's lying on the floor, his daughter halfway on his back, his son laughing, trying to pin him down. His partner took the picture without him noticing. When he asked, "Why did you take that?" the answer was simple. "Because this is the version of you I always knew was inside, and I don't ever want you to forget that he exists."
But the real legacy isn't the before and after photo.
It's his daughter telling a friend at school, "My dad used to get tired so fast. Now he walks every morning. He never skips it. He's the most disciplined person I know."
She didn't watch him read self-help books. She didn't watch him give big speeches. She watched him drink water, walk, and get back up every single time he slipped.
That's how identity transfers, not through words, through what we do again and again. If you're still watching this, it tells me something about you. You're not here just for entertainment. You're looking for something, a way out of a pattern you're tired of repeating. Maybe it's your weight, maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's your phone, your anger, your lack of focus, that constant voice saying, "You're wasting your life." Maybe you're thinking, "That's a nice story, but my situation is different, more complicated, harder." You're right. Your situation is different. Your history, your pain, your responsibilities, they're unique. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The system that keeps us stuck is almost always the same. We try to change everything at once. We attack a 20-year habit with a 2-week burst of willpower. We fail. And every failure becomes evidence for a story. "I'm just not disciplined, I can't do it, it's who I am." But that story is not who you are. It's just what happens when you use the wrong strategy. The Japanese system we walk through in this video is not about rapid, dramatic change. It's about change that actually stays. You don't need 30 days of perfection. You need years of consistency. And consistency is only possible when the steps are small enough to survive your worst days and not just your best ones. So I'm going to give you the same challenge that Dr. Sato gave Daniel. Pick one change, not 10, not a whole life overhaul, just one. Make it so small it almost feels insulting. So small you can't find a reasonable excuse to skip it. 1 glass of water when you wake up. 5 slow breaths before you check your phone. 1 page of a book. 10 squats next to your bed. Writing 1 sentence in a journal. Whatever it is, make it tiny. Then do it every day for 14 days. Don't speed it up. Don't add a little extra on day 3. Don't turn it into a project. Just keep that one promise. At the end of 2 weeks, you won't have transformed your body, your bank account, or your entire life, but you will have something far more valuable. Proof. Proof that you are capable of doing what you say you'll do. Proof that you are not broken. Proof that your brain can learn a new identity. And once you have that proof, you can add a second tiny step, and then a third. And over months and years, those microscopic choices will shape a new version of you, just like they did for Daniel.
Time is going to pass anyway.
The only question is, in 5 years, will you still be telling the same story about your bad habits? Or will you be the person others point to and say, I don't know how they did it, but they changed? Remember the 5 pieces of this Japanese system. Ikigai, your reason. Kaizen, your small steps.
HARA HACHI BU, knowing when enough is enough.
WABI-SABI, compassion for your imperfect journey. Gambaru, staying when it's hard. You don't need to master all of them today. You just need to start with one tiny act that your future self will thank you for. If this video resonated with you, comment below with the smallest change you're going to start tomorrow morning. Not your full master plan, just the first step. When you write it publicly, you turn an idea into a commitment. And that's often where real transformation begins.
I'll do my best to read as many comments as I can, and in a couple of weeks I'll come back and look for the people who followed through on that microscopic promise.
You don't need to be perfect, you just need to begin. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It means you're already more committed than you think. See you in the next video, and remember, be present, walk with honor, follow the path.